They told me I couldn't track my car anymore. It's on air suspension. We're running stretched tires. It's got a wide body kit, it's got heavy ass multi-piece wheels, but the worst part, it has the Renesis rotary. Now, I've never been a fan of people telling me what I can and cannot do, so today we're out here at beautiful USAir in Shawano, Wisconsin, and we're gonna take the RX8 on some hot laps around the track just to see how bad it actually is. All right, so we did a few laps here with the RX8, and honestly, I'm really surprised on how it handled. I mean, the car felt amazing. So one of the biggest things with air suspension, a lot of people think that you're gonna have a ton of body roll, a ton of slop in the car and things like that. The good part with air suspension, even though yes, if you're running a lower PSI, you will experience a lot of that, you can just air it up. Now, you're not gonna have the best fitment around the track and it won't be as low, but I just cranked a few more pounds of pressure in the bags and it stiffened it right up and it felt great. I didn't feel a ton of body roll at all, at least from the inside, and I loved how the car felt. It gripped really well. Now, we have really wide rear tires and stuff like that, but they aren't by any means track tires, and they're doing their best. It is a bit colder out here today, but honestly, super impressed with how the car felt. So the number one thing that a lot of people think, like I said, is that it's gonna have a lot of body roll. Not necessarily the case. You can adjust that very easily with air suspension simply by pressing a few buttons. Now, the second thing with running air suspension on the track, a lot of people think, oh, you're gonna be blowing lines, you're gonna be popping bags, things like that. It all comes down to the installation. How did you route your airlines? What are they connected to? Are they rubbing on anything? You know, how is all of that set up in your car? That is the make or break with air suspension. Now, I've had air suspension on this car for going on 3 years now. Knock on wood, have not had any issues with it. And it is with doing things like this. You know, it is driving the car hard. It is driving at 1,700 miles for a car show. And you know, if you take your time, set it up properly, make sure that nothing's rubbing, make sure that nothing's making contact, you know, do the maintenance on it, you're gonna have a good experience with air suspension. Which leads into topic number 3, which is just the overall reliability of an air suspension system. Again, comes down, how did you set it up? How is it maintained? Are you know, do you have a water trap in it? Or are you emptying the water out of the tank? All that sort of stuff. You know, it truly comes down to how you maintain the car and the overall system. And that's gonna dictate how well of an experience you have with air suspension. Because I know people that have run air suspension all their life and have had zero issues with it. But I also know people that have ran it for 2 months and have had nothing but issues with it because, you know, they're rubbing through airlines because they didn't realize it was making contact with suspension pieces or the tire when they were at full lock. You know, things like that. Now with the car itself, I was a little bit worried about the turning radius because we do have such a wide setup on this car. We do make contact with some of the front frame rails. Good news is this track isn't as tight where we need to worry about making contact with that stuff, so that was awesome. But yeah, because we aired the car up, because it is stiffened up, it felt great. We had no rubbing issues. We didn't scrape on anything. And yeah, compared to like my S13, if I had the turning radius on this thing and could actually go full lock, I'd be swinging this thing around because it felt great. So when we asked the question, can you track air suspension? Absolutely. Now, would you want to? Is it ideal? No, probably not. There's not really a benefit, I would say, of running air suspension over something like a coilover setup, but you can still do it. I think there's a big stigma out there of that because you have air suspension, you can't enjoy your car anymore, you can't drive it hard anymore, when it's simply really not the case. It's just that coilover setups just tend to be the better alternative. And like I said, you're not gaining anything with air suspension over a coilover setup. you track your car with air suspension? Absolutely. Now, should you? I guess that's for you to decide. But whether you're looking to run coilovers or air suspension, mod your car at Martini Works.